Ladies and gentlemen, we are now closer to the reality of Conor McGregor becoming the president of Ireland and fighting under the UFC banner at the White House. So, we're going to talk about this. Obviously, Conor McGregor, biggest name in the sport. I need views. I need watch time. You know how it is. But, man, this would be a hilarious reality to live in. But let's read the article and then we'll just, talk about this storyline that I absolutely want to have. Now, full disclosure, I'm not a huge Connor fan. I've never been a really big Connor fan, but I respect what he has done for the sport of mixed martial arts. Let's say it though. Conor McGregor claims he secured the votes to run for president of Ireland. Former UFC champion and Irish businessman Conor McGregor briefly getting bitten by something. Uh, what was that? Briefly speaks with reporters alongside White House press secretary. Okay. Oh yeah, it's just explaining the picture. I don't need to read that. This was a while back ago. He went to uh the White House around St. Patrick's Day, and I did a video on that months ago. But he recently tweeted, "I have it secured. I have councils on board. TD senators." McGregor wrote on X, seemingly to say he has the required number of parliamentary votes to qualify him as a candidate in the upcoming election. He didn't immediately present proof to back up his claims. The 37-year-old declared his intentions to run for office in March, 3 days after meeting with President Donald Trump at the White House. He announced the decision alongside a photo of him wearing a Make Ireland Great Again Make Ireland Great Again cap. Okay, that's hilarious. And naming immigration reform as a top priority. Ireland's call will be answered. I'm here for the will of the people who aligns in support of the policies I have presented will be the saviors of our great nation. Elon Musk, the similarly polarizing owner of Tesla and X, appeared to approve McGregor's announcement. Musk, who has supported right-wing political candidates in the U.S. and abroad, reposted the news on his social media platform. Irish President Michael D. Higgins is set to leave the office he's held for 14 years in November. An election for the next president must take place in the 60 days before his term ends on November 11th, Veterans Day. At least in Canada up here. Um, Moderate Conservatives candidate Mairead McGuinness was believed to be the frontrunner to succeed Higgins until she withdrew her candidacy earlier this month. I cannot read, man. I really cannot read right now. Due to health issues. According to Irish news service RTE, several other candidates and reportedly considering a run. Whether or not McGregor will have the support of the Irish people is yet to be seen. He previously enjoyed great popularity on the Emerald Isle during his prime as a champion brawler, where his approval took a dive in November after a jury found him liable for assault against Nikita Hand. The Irishman, I said he lost 400,000 social media followers in the weeks following the verdict, yeah, whatever. Alright, so let's just go to his ex. Now, before we read any of his posts and that, let's talk about really quick the story of Conor McGregor, right? So Conor McGregor comes into the UFC. Wasn't it like around 2013? Yeah. I thought it was 2012. We know on the regionals was a beast. Only lost 2 fights. Then made it to Cage Warriors and went on a tear. First round knockout, first round knockout. Second round didn't get choked. First round knockout, first round knockout. Against Marcus Brimage to debut in the UFC. And then he fights a young Max Holloway in 2013. Beats him by unanimous decision. And then the terror starts. First round knockout over Diego Brando. First round knockout over Dustin Poirier, which started Conor Mania. And we know that Dustin Poirier would later go on to be one of the greatest lightweights of all time. TKO's Dennis Silver in the second round. Knocks out Chad Mendes in the second round. It was really good back then and only lost to Jose Aldo. And then the infamous Jose Aldo 13-second knockout. That turned him into the biggest star of the sport without question. He fights Nate Diaz after Nate Diaz called him out. Gets submitted in the second round, wants to get it back. Gets a majority decision. By the way, these fights are at 170, not 155. Then he goes to 155, knocks out Eddie Alvarez for the title in 2016. And then the opportunity to fight Floyd Mayweather for $100 million came across, and he made more than that with pay-per-view, obviously. He did really good in that boxing match. He did. I think that it gets lost throughout time, but Mayweather was able to TKO him in round 10, and then he came back. A lot of animosity against Khabib Nurmagomedov, biggest UFC pay-per-view of all time, and Khabib dominates him, and that's how the star Khabib was born. Submits him in the fourth round, and then jumps the cage. Then he takes 2 years off, nearly, and comes in against Donald Cowboy Cerrone, the infamous shoulder shots to the head, set up the head kick, followed by the punches, first on knockout. We thought that Conor was back. We don't see him until January the next year, where he fights Dustin Poirier in the rematch. This is a veteran Dustin Poirier, interim lightweight champion Dustin Poirier, and he was nice to Dustin this time around, complimented him on, the hot sauce and everything. Dustin Poirier battered him the entire fight. He ended up knocking him out at the second round, but you clearly saw that Dustin Poirier adapted way better to 155 than Conor McGregor did, and he was more composed. And then they set up the trilogy for July of the next year, where, Conor comes back heated. But, the problem is, you saw the trash talk was off, right? Everything he was saying, the crowd was making fun of him for. Dustin Poirier himself said, hey, the trash talk is taking a nosedive. And obviously rolls his ankle at the end of the round. And ever since then, everything that has come out, everything that he's done, good or bad, it's kept him relevant. It's kept him at the top of, MMA. He will be the biggest star in MMA until he dies. I truly believe that. But I didn't want to go to this post. But oh, new picture. Um, if he's able to come back from everything that he's done, become president of Ireland. See, now this is obviously a fan account boy. No matter how far he's gone, Conor McGregor never lost touch with the struggles of the people. His support for the homeless shows leadership rooted in compassion. Obviously, this is always the Connor's rate waiting. When he's talking about the housing crisis in Ireland, which is happening everywhere. Canada is brutal, man. Our renting market is ridiculous. Unless you're able to find a good renter, you're fucked. But you see, he is really motivated to become president of Ireland. And you see, like, he is posting how many times a day, right? Um, but, like, the real story, right, is Conor McGregor. Let's say hypothetically he wins this thing. He goes from welfare to being a billionaire. Whether he is right now or not, he's he is going to be a billionaire if he's not. With every business he is a part of, with how big he is, to go from pushing MMA to a level that nobody else did, not even Brock Lesnar, could reach the heights that Conor did. Again, he holds the 5 or 6 biggest pay-per-views of all time. That's ridiculous, right? And they, as somebody who was never a big fan of Conor McGregor, I was always hoping over the last few years that we would see a rebound, right? That we would see him kind of quicken and be like, all right, I'm a 36-year-old man. I gotta stop this shit. And I think that him and D, they probably have an agreement, right? Connor, you can go do your thing. You just make sure me and the kids are uh, well protected, provided for, and I'm gonna show up. Whatever it is, it's 2025. We got weirder fucking relationships out there. Um, but like with where the world is, right? Donald Trump went from The Apprentice to winning 2 elections, potentially a third, depending on who you ask. But this be unreal. And if he goes to the White House card as the fucking president of Ireland, whether he's fighting Michael Chandler, whether he's fighting Nate Diaz in the trilogy, that will be it will be a one of one moment. When will you ever see a leader of the country fight for the biggest MMA organization? You know, like that. That's like old school shit, right? That's like fucking. That's literally your leader going to battle for you. And I feel like they're gonna have to do kind of some kind of like America versus other nation theme for the White House card, which I am factoring into like my end predictions of what I think the card will be. But crazy love man, Conor McGregor, one step closer to becoming the president of fucking Ireland. But let me know what you think about this down below. What do you think of Conor McGregor actually going out there, getting the approval he needs, getting the votes he needs to run for president at the well, I would say end of the year, in less than 2 months. Burp again. It won't come out. Let me know what you think, though. Um, what a crazy world we live in. What the